Hi guys. First and foremost, thank you for all the love you have given me. Thank you for all the love you have given my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. And I know you guys want to know more about my journey in cinema and how I got to where I did. So if I have to start somewhere, I think in terms of my journey in cinema, I should start with India's Next Top Model and just kind of talk about my pageantry separate. Um, India's Next Top Model happened, I want to say, June of 2014. No, no, Miss India Worldwide was in June. I think it was later that year. Um, because I do know that the reason why I did India's Next Top Model was because I had signed Ambersarya. Ambersarya kept getting delayed, and then I kind of got Kaptan, but I guess Kaptan had a delay in it as well, and I was just kind of sitting at home twiddling my thumbs. I honestly didn't need to do India's Next Top Model. It literally didn't add anything to my life. On the contrary, I think it kind of, having India's Next Top Model or any type of reality show on on my resume, I think it kind of pulled me back from a lot of opportunities because it kind of, I don't know, people don't view reality shows in cinema very, respectfully. Mittu is gonna start chirping. I'm sitting in like a room farther away from where we have Mittu's cage just so he wouldn't squeak, but here we go. So I'm gonna try to talk softer. Hopefully he doesn't hear me. So when I decided to do India's Next Top Model, it was more out of boredom than anything else. I had 2 films under my belt. I think one of their prizes were that you get signed to Bling. I was already signed to Bling. I didn't really need India's Next Top Model. Now that I think back, I'm kicking myself why I ever did it. And overall, I found it to be a very toxic environment, and I think it kind of brought me down more than kind of helped me out in any way, shape, or form. Now, like I said, when I did India's Next Top Model, I already had 2 films signed and ready to go, and I was physically a size 2. A size 2. A size 2 is a 26 waist, or maximum 28. Like, it doesn't get more than that. And I knew that, like, in my head, because I knew I had 2 films and I had just won Miss India Worldwide. I was living in India. I was making friends in India. Everything was working out the way you would want it to. So I was actually feeling good about myself. I didn't really focus much on my weight or my body or what I was looking like, although I was working out every day, I was eating right. But just like any other Punjabi girl, I had a little gut, and say if I had 2 glasses of wine too much, that's kind of where on my body, my face, and in my lower stomach, my weight would kind of stay. And I think that's common for most Indian people. That's just how our bodies are. This bird's not gonna shut up. So what I didn't expect was that the entire show was going to be centered around my gut, and it was, and I found that really strange that they would kind of first off target me, and I was not, first off, I was not big how they made it look like on the show. I didn't even go back and watch the show because I was so upset with it. I was not big by any means. I was a size 2. By the time my Kaptan started, I think it was 2 weeks after, by the time Kaptan started, I was already back to, like, size 2s were loose on me. I was fitting into a 0. So I don't know. But, they really focused on that so much that I started focusing on it. I after I left India's Next Top Model, I thought I was fat. It really kind of sat with me because for a while, that became my internal dialogue because I had it reinforced all day, every day, so much by the production from India's Next Top Model that I actually started believing that I didn't have a nice body, which couldn't have been furthest from the truth. So obviously in reality shows, they try to sensationalize whatever's going on. They want a little bit of dramatics or some sort of drama to kind of, reel the audience in. And I feel like they did it at my expense. So it is what it is. But after that, I was left with the work of kind of picking up the pieces. And that's not always easy to do because you kind of have to shift your internal dialogue, right? You have to shift how you're talking to yourself to kind of, jump back into that super confident alpha female kind of vibe. When I went into India's Next Top Model, in my mind, the conversation was, you just won Miss India Worldwide. You just signed 2 films with some of the biggest stars in Punjabi cinema. Wow, how amazing are you? I think that's why, regardless of what my body looked like, it didn't really affect me too much because my internal dialogue was that, sorry, my brother just sneezed. Bless you. That I was awesome. Bless you. He sneezes multiple times in a row. My internal dialogue was that, hey, I'm awesome, I'm amazing. And that was kind of enforced by what I had just done. And when I went into India's Next Top Model, that internal dialogue was wiped clean and kind of a new dialogue was put in, which was, no, you have a gut, you're fat, you're kind of horrible, you are not really going to do much, you can't be a model, blah, 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 you're a failure. So what they did was they kind of shifted that dialogue to be, self-criticizing. And that's something I want to emphasize on because when you have people with low self-esteem, it has nothing to do with the outside world so much as in it's what they're saying to themselves at night or when they're alone. People with low self-esteem tend to self-criticize versus people with high self-esteem that tend to self-praise. That's the difference between the internal dialogues that are going on. So what kind of ended up happening between India's Next Top Model and Kaptan, and then that kind of transition period, which became Kaptan and into when I was shooting for Amber Sarya. When I was on Kaptan's sets, I had to recollect my data points. I had to kind of reestablish why I was awesome to myself in my mind, right? Because a person's confidence is based on, what you kind of have to tell yourself what's good about you. And during Kaptan, I was primarily collecting those data points, like why I was awesome. I was on a film. I was doing well in the film. My performance was great, So collecting all that stuff. And yeah, it was like a lot of ups and downs. Whereas I would have gone in, had India's Next Top Model not happen and maybe kind of picked up on things a lot faster, I wasn't doing that. It was a little bit of a struggle to get my scenes. I remember I was doing some scenes almost 30 times because, I didn't have that confidence to kind of go in and just kill it on the first go. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. I'm so sorry. I have a bird. So it was a slow process, but ultimately, by the time Amber Sarya rolled around, I had again reprogrammed my mind into thinking I was absolutely amazing. And, my self-esteem was back where it needed to be. Although I still had a gut, I was still the same size that I was on India's Next Top Model. If you go back and watch India's Next Top Model and watch Amber Sarya, physically not much had changed on my face, on my body, on my anything. Just my demeanor and attitude and the conversations I was having with myself at night. Now, that leads us to basically, what am I talking about? I'm talking about confidence, and the kind of approach that I'm talking about falls into, take notes on this, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is basically monitoring your self-talk. Now, if you see yourself, if you're someone who isn't very confident with what you look like, what can you do? Is basically what I want to get to. Oftentimes when we're not happy with a certain weight, it's because we tie our happiness to a goal weight, right? We tell ourselves that we will be happier, or we will have this or have that or look like this, so that will lead to our happiness at a certain goal weight in the future. However, that's rarely the case, because happiness is an inside job. And the key to happiness is confidence and a high self-esteem. So instead of tying happiness to a future goal weight, what if you tell yourself to be happy now in the present moment, right? You change that kind of perception or kind of way of thinking. Now, obviously, okay, sorry about that. So, you kind of change that perception into being happy now. Kind of take it off your potential goal weight that you have, that, oh, you're going to be able to do this at that way, you're going to be able to do that at that goal weight. How do you see your life at being skinnier? Do you have more friends? Are you dating more? Are you going out more? Are you dressing a certain way? Like, what is it that you think is going to actualize your happiness at that point? And make it happen now. Also, when it comes to confidence, there are other things that play into confidence that don't have to do with what you look like, right? We beat ourselves over, being a certain weight or not being a certain way, but we don't realize that there's so many other facets to us. I mean, for me, I'm a daughter, and I think I'm a pretty good daughter. I'm a granddaughter, and I actually think I'm a phenomenal granddaughter. I am an older sister, and I think I'm a phenomenal older sister. I mean, sometimes my brother wouldn't agree. He thinks I'm way too overbearing, but I do think that I fulfill my responsibilities as a sister phenomenally well, right? So when I'm feeling down, that's what I tell myself. I may not have done this perfectly well, but look at everything else in my life that I am doing well. I have a group of great girlfriends that I've had since college. And I think I'm a great friend. That adds to my confidence. When I'm feeling really low, I tell myself I'm Miss India worldwide. So whether or not I'm looking my best that day, some group of judges somewhere in the world decided that I was pretty enough to be called Miss India worldwide. Now, those are my data points. What do you have to do? You have to sit down with yourself and build your own data points. What is it that makes you amazing? I mean, I'm sure you guys have a family that's very proud of you. I'm sure, you're going to school. One of the greatest ways to bump up your confidence is to do well in school. So if you're a high schooler watching this, go into class tomorrow, start paying attention, bring up your grades, and watch how amazing you feel. Watch how amazing you feel. If you don't have the greatest relationship with your parents, start working on that, building that up, and watch how amazing you feel after that. If you haven't spoken to your grandmother or grandfather in a while, pick up your phone and FaceTime them. And watch how happy you make them, which in turn is going to make you happy. Because it's going to you're going to feel like a good person because you picked up the phone and you made your grandparents a priority. That's gonna make you feel good. And if it's still not working, literally go down to a soup kitchen and volunteer. That's gonna make you feel like a decent human being, and you'll start feeling good about yourself. The idea is to be able to manufacture confidence internally. When we're able to do that, we don't need validation from the outside, right? Why are looks such a huge part of who we are? Because it's really easy to look a certain way and get validation from the outside and kind of be like, ha ha ha, look how awesome I am. Even if internally you're just a plain old shitty person. I mean, and there are tons of those people that are great looking, but when it comes to them as a human, not only are they very empty on the inside, they're just crappy humans, right? Because I don't want to say they took the easy way out to confidence. I really don't think needing validation from external sources is any way to prove that you're confident. I just think that if you have to get validation from anyone, you know, about what you look like, you're not a very confident person. And the way to manufacture confidence internally and to kind of, you know, be a self-sufficient human is to kind of sit with yourself and to understand who you are as a person. What makes you a phenomenal person? What are your bad qualities? What are your good qualities? How do you work on your bad qualities to turn them into your pros? Right? Confident people, alpha males and alpha females, leaders, are constantly working on themselves, constantly improving themselves. Now, that doesn't mean that they have lapses, right? At the end of the day, we're all human and we all make mistakes. That doesn't mean that we don't have lapses, but it also means that we understand that that's a momentary fluctuation in time. It's a season. It's not gonna last. It's like COVID. COVID's not gonna last forever. So when something bad happens and really brings down our self-esteem, like happened to me in India's Next Top Model, that was a season in my life. It passed. It passed and a lot of amazing things happened to me, you know, that these people were telling me will probably never happen to me. It was a season. What else did I want to touch upon? Shoot, I just lost my train of thought. Because Mittu keeps chirping in the background. It's so hard to focus. Okay, so manufacturing confidence internally. Once we start doing that, we become self-sufficient as a human, right? Then you don't need anybody. People end up becoming assets to you in your life. You know, you're not dependent. You don't have attachment issues because you don't need any type of validation from them, right? You've begun kind of doing that for yourself. So then what ends up happening is you're able to kind of make sure that the people that come into your life, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a friend, whether, you know, it's a relative, really either matter to you, or if they don't, that they don't cross any boundaries with you. Now, what happens when it comes to men? People with high self-esteem don't let themselves be taken advantage of, right? When you have low self-esteem, you're just looking for a guy to kind of validate your existence. But when you have high self-esteem, you know what you're looking for in life because you've done that work. You've sat with yourself. You realized who you are as a person, what your pros are, what your cons are, how you're gonna work on your cons, how you're gonna change your internal dialogue to make yourself feel better about certain things, how you're gonna talk to yourself. So what happens when you meet someone? You know exactly what you're looking for in life. Whether or not you vocalize it, you know whether or not this individual is going to provide that to you in your life. And if he's not, you're very quick to, all right, tata, bye, see you, move on. And if this person is, you're ready to put the effort in to make something work. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I know many females in my age group, second generation of the diaspora, who, you know, are struggling to find meaningful relationships. And this is why. If you don't love yourself and if you're not whole as a human yourself, you will never find another whole. A marriage is two wholes coming together. Any kind of relationship that is stable and, you know, is kind of solid is two wholes coming together. And I know that I've been saying that I'm going to have a video just on marriage, but self-confidence and relationships do go together hand in hand. If you've ever been in a relationship with an insecure person, you'll understand how much absolute torment it is to be with someone like that. Okay, that point aside, how do we start our internal dialogue? How do we begin that shift, right? I've talked about why it's important, why you need to sit with yourself, why you need to discover, you know, the good things about yourself. Oftentimes we know that, but we've come into this habit of criticizing ourselves constantly, of looking in the mirror and being like, oh my God, my hips are too wide, my nose is too lopsided, or my face looks like this, I have gray hair. Like we are constantly in this kind of habit of always picking out the bad things in ourselves. And the way to do it is to stop doing that and like literally start listing out the things you like about yourself. And you have to do this just like this. It's called cognitive behavioral therapy. There's no two ways about this. Literally get a pen and paper and write down a list of the things you like about yourself or that other people say are really nice about you, whether it's about what you look like, about your personality, how you make others feel. Literally make a list and start maybe once a day. Look in the mirror and read those out to yourself. Kind of pretend like your conscience talking to your subconscious. That's literally what you're doing. It's your conscience talking to your subconscious. Your trained kind of quiet mind that you've kind of already trained to think about yourself in a certain way. That's what you're trying to get to. So your conscious mind is talking to your subconscious mind. Look in the mirror and read out to yourself all those things that are amazing about you. Start by doing it once a day. And say it to yourself in a way that you actually believe it. Even if it just stays for 5 minutes, do it. And then start repeating it to yourself. So, do that for a week, once a day. And then the next week, maybe do it twice a day. Then the next week, do it thrice a day. And then keep doing that until it sits. Until it sits in your head that this is why I'm amazing. And once that's there, that becomes your internal dialogue. You've retrained your mind to think a certain way. You've retrained it. Your mind is like any other muscle group. The more you train it, the more automatically it works like that, right? Muscle memory, you go to the gym, the first 2-3 days it's difficult, you're sore. The third day it's still difficult. It takes about 2 weeks for your body to, learn how to do the steps, and then boom. Then you're going into the gym, you know how to do, you have to add weights because it's becoming easier. That's exactly how your mind is, how your brain is. Your brain is a muscle that needs to be trained. So train it every day, and train your mind to think that you're amazing. And it's going to happen by you telling your mind that you're amazing, right? There's a saying, either you control your mind or it controls you. And that's what happens when people have low self-esteem. It's your mind controlling you. Versus people with high self-esteem, it's them controlling their mind, right? They're writing the dialogue, they're writing the story, they're writing the narrative, versus your mind doing it for you. Make it a habit to not criticize yourself. Whenever you catch yourself saying something mean or not nice about yourself, stop. Stop. Give yourself more credit for what you're doing. Give yourself credit for trying. Wow. I feel like as women, like we're kind of trained to be hard on ourselves from a very young age. And I don't understand why. Like whether it's, and I don't know if it's just in the Indian culture or if it's everywhere. It's our skin color. If you go out and get a tan, it's like tera biya nahi hona to kali hoke aage. If you gain a few pounds, you have aunties and uncles telling, like they say it to you. And it's really weird. Like it's really nobody's business what you look. It really isn't. It's nobody's business what you look like. And 90% of the time, most people don't notice. That's the other thing. We notice our own flaws more than anything. Right? And if somebody else is pointing them out to you, it's because they're trying to put you down. Somebody who feels good about themselves will never try to put another person down. Happy people just don't do that. They don't. I actually have a quote here. Yeah, okay, so here it is. The things we hate in others are the things that we hate in ourselves. So if somebody is actually like coming to you and telling you you've gained weight, it's actually because they themselves have gained weight and they're trying to kind of not feel bad, or they're trying to they're leveling. They're either trying to puff themselves up and make themselves feel better, or they see you and you're actually looking better. Maybe you have gained a few pounds, but you're still looking good, and they don't understand why you can still look good and they have to look bad. So never listen to other people. Never listen to other people. Okay, let's see. My handy dandy notebook. All right. Okay, so I talked about changing your internal dialogue and how to do it. Now, how to be kind of that super confident alpha female or alpha male person, or, something we describe as a leader. And I kind of made like a 4-part note, right? So what's a leader? They can make decisions about their life and be like, this is what I want. And, they have good relationships with the people they care about, and they're interesting, right? So whenever, first off, find people that you think are awesome, that are confident, and, people whose confidence level you would like to internalize, and get to know them and learn from them. That, I think, is always a smart thing to do. Surround yourself with people you want to be like, always. Your 5 closest friends should each have some sort of quality that you want to imbibe in your own life. And if you're surrounded with people and you're the smartest one there, you're in the wrong group. Okay, so we talked about this, we've been talking about how confidence is an inside job. And people with the good, strong sense of self-esteem are people who can manufacture that confidence from the inside. And how do we do that? By, rewriting our internal dialogue. But there's more to an interesting person, right? There's more to a leader. There's more to an alpha female. What is it? An interesting person has interests. So build some. Like for me, I think one of my quirkiest interests is astrology. I love reading about it. I love learning about it. I love talking about it. So that's mine. I don't know, yours could be dinosaurs. I have a cousin that loves dinosaurs. And I think even in adulthood, like something that makes you unique is beautiful because it sets you apart from other people. There's no fun in being like the rest of the gang. There really isn't. You blend right in. So and then the other, like I said, find someone you find confident and become really good friends with them. The other thing is when you start knowing yourself, you learn your boundaries, right? Confident people, it's not that they have strong boundaries in the sense that, they cut people off and they don't allow anyone in or they have walls. It's not that. You have boundaries in the sense you know what's okay with you and what's not. To what extent someone can intrude, what extent of what you will tolerate, right? You're less likely to tolerate disrespectful behavior, whether it's from a spouse, a boyfriend, a friend, a family member, anything, right? Because once you start developing confidence internally, what you get is a sense of self-worth. You know your value. You know at that value how you should be treated. And when someone is not treating you the way you deserve to be treated, it becomes a lot easier to put your foot down. Okay, so I think that's about it. I do want to add though, confidence is quiet. And I think that's what that was kind of what I wanted to point out by people who seek validation externally, like outside of themselves. You'll always notice that, like, if you're at a party, it'll always be the person dressed the loudest, decked out in accessories, has like a face plastered with makeup. Like, you can always tell an insecure person or someone seeking validation from a mile away. It's someone who, whether from their personality, from how they talk, or from their style of clothing, their dressing, yada, 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 is just really loud. They're seeking validation. They're seeking to be noticed. That is not confidence. When people are confident, the validation comes from the inside. Yes, they're going somewhere, they want to look good, they want to be well dressed, but it's not to grab attention. It's not for someone to walk up to them and be like, oh my goodness, I love your red, pink, and blue nails. Like, wow. Like, it's because they want to look good to themselves. Looking good is going to be another data point that they add to their internal dialogue to say, hey, when I run, I clean up real well. Yeah. I'm sure I'm leaving out a lot of points. If you guys want to do more research on this subject or the way that I have explained it, just go on to Google, type cognitive behavioral therapy for confidence, and you'll find like so many self-help pages, so many articles, so many psychologists who've done research on this and actually found results and what kind of results that they've found. But this is kind of my personal take on cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's worked for me. This is kind of a summary of the research I've done. It's a summary of kind of cognitive behavioral therapy meets social psychology. So that's about it. And that's kind of a summary of my experience on India's Next Top Model as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I actually really enjoyed this talking about this, and I really enjoyed doing the research for this. It's funny, I was actually planning on doing a video on the law of attraction. So for 3 days straight, I was researching that and thinking about how to present that to you, when all of a sudden I was editing like a makeup video I did, and then boom, this came to me. And I was like, damn, I really have to talk about this. So here we go. Anyways, now I'm like ranting. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. I need you to hit subscribe. Please hit the bell icon so you know whenever I have a video coming. And please write in the comments what else you want me to talk about. Okay?